And I believe that same God can wake you up on Sunday to get you on time for Sunday school. Talking about spiritual things. And this is a very familiar passage of Scripture. We call the Transfiguration. It's recorded in Matthew. It's recorded in Mark. And it's recorded in Luke. And so it's recorded 3 times to emphasize the importance of this passage. Now, Jesus didn't isolate himself from folk. Jesus went to weddings. Jesus went to dinners. Jesus made wine. And I heard a preacher say, well, Reverend, they didn't use real wine back in those days. But it makes me wonder, how did Noah get drunk? And how did Lot get so drunk that his own daughters Now, I'm not promoting drinking. But what I am saying is that Jesus wasn't so holy that he couldn't mix with folk outside of the church. But in this particular passage, Jesus wanted to talk about some spiritual things. And so Jesus got away from the crowd, went up into a mountain so he could talk about spiritual things. And sometimes you got to get away from folk to talk about spiritual things. Sometimes you got to cut the TV off to talk about spiritual things. Sometimes you got to unplug that computer and get off of Facebook. Somebody say you better than that. But sometimes you got to unplug your cell phone. Because you can't talk to everybody about spiritual things. And so Jesus goes up into a mountain and takes Peter and James and John. And when Jesus got ready to talk about spiritual things, they went to sleep. Like some of y'all doing right now. Folk could do that to me on Sunday mornings. I come in ready to talk about spiritual things. But when I look up, isn't it amazing how spiritual things can put you to sleep? A pill won't do it. A good stiff drink don't work. But when you come to these comfortable pews and you rest your back and it feels so good, and the preacher started talking about spiritual things, eyelids began to get heavy. And so while they were asleep, Jesus was transfigured before them. Now, transfigured means a change in appearance that comes from within. Jesus didn't just change his clothes, but Jesus stepped out of his humanity and stepped back into his divinity and called for Moses and Elijah to come down and have a conversation with me. And they had the greatest Bible conference on earth that day. Took place on that mountain. Here's Jesus standing there with Moses and Elijah and all of them in glorified bodies. And I can imagine Moses must have said, Jesus, since you're already in your glorified body, why don't you come on back to heaven with us? Things haven't been the same since you left. They miss you up there. The angels are waiting to praise your name without end. When I can imagine Jesus replying and saying, yes, I am coming back. But I can't come back the way that I came. You see, I came down through 42 generations. But when I come back, I got to come back by way of the cross. I got to come back by way of Calvary. See, Jesus went up to the mountain to have a spiritual conversation. When he was down here on earth, he was surrounded by a multitude. But the multitude wanted to talk about miracles. There was the scribe standing on the side. But all they wanted to talk about was the law. There was the Pharisees on the other side. And they wanted to talk about religious rituals. All the disciples wanted to talk about was seats in the kingdom. And Peter wanted to talk about building tabernacles. But Jesus didn't want to talk about any of those things. He wanted to talk about some spiritual things. And who do you talk to when you need to talk about spiritual things? When the doctor gives you a bad report and the insurance company give you a runaround. Who do you talk to when they say they're not going to pay for your procedure? Who do you talk to when you run out of money and don't know where your next meal is going to come from? Who do you talk to when your heart is broken and you're downhearted and nobody around understands what you're going through? Grandmama used to say, have a little talk with Jesus. Tell him all about your trouble. He will hear your faintest cry. And he'll answer by and by. And so Jesus sent for Moses and Elijah. Moses was the greatest lawgiver there ever was. And Moses had died 1,400 years before this incident. Jesus sent for Elijah, the greatest prophet. And Elijah had went to heaven 900 years earlier. So Jesus sent from somebody from the past in order to talk about the future. Now all three Gospels record this incident. But only Luke tells us what the conversation was about. In Luke verse 31 it says he talked about his decease. And the word decease comes from two words in the Greek. It comes from ex, meaning out. And it comes